I am Flyin Brian J for MMAmania.com. Remember, the 5th of November. This time we're actually looking forward to the 5th of November and UFC Fight Night 98 or The Ultimate Fighter Latin America Season 3 finale from Mexico City, Mexico at altitude, where the main event is Rafael dos Anjos versus Tony El Cucuy Ferguson. Dos Anjos is looking to rebound from losing his lightweight title against Eddie Alvarez just 4 months ago, and El Cucuy is looking to chalk up his 9th victory in a row. This fight should provide a lot of fireworks. Let's get right into the matchup, starting with the tail of the tape. Rafael dos Anjos is 25-8. Tony Ferguson is 22-3. Where I want to focus your attention initially here is that El Cucuy has a 6.5-inch reach advantage, and according to Fightnomics by Reed Kuhn with Kelly Krieger, a fighter with a 6.5+ inch reach advantage wins 65% of the time. Another interesting thing is that Rafael dos Anjos listed as a southpaw, Ferguson listed as orthodox, but Ferguson likes to change his stances all the time, and occasionally he'll just stand square. So I don't really think that we should peg him down to a certain stance choice. For significant strikes, El Cucuy lands more with less accuracy. He also absorbs more, and they'll have about the same percentage defended. Looking at the grappling, Rafael dos Anjos lands more takedowns per fight, and what I find interesting is that Tony Ferguson lands less than 1 takedown per fight. It's crazy because he has won 4 out of his last 5 victories via submission, and to have less than 1 takedown per fight is pretty interesting. He has better takedown accuracy and defends quite a few more percentage-wise takedowns than RDA, and he averages about 2 submission attempts per fight. Let's get into some intangibles before getting into the stylistic matchup, and then we'll finish off with my prediction for this main event. Really, the only intangible that I want to talk about is mindset. I want to know where each guy is in terms of their confidence level, because in each of their last respective fights, they absorbed a lot of damage. Rafael dos Anjos, he absorbed a lot of damage in the finishing sequence of his fight against Eddie Alvarez, where Eddie took his title. I also want to know where he is with his mindset, because all of a sudden he doesn't have his belt, and he is just 4 months removed from absorbing a ton of strikes in that finishing sequence, where I think that it was worse for him to take that many shots and lose by TKO than it would have been to just lose by KO with a flash knockout. Of course, we don't know the cold hard facts about brain injuries and brain trauma, but I would think that just going out quickly cold would be better for him than absorbing that many strikes late in the fight. In the same sense, I want to know where El Cucuy is with his confidence level, because he ate a lot of strikes and was almost finished in the first round against a debutant in Lando Venata. Lando Venata came in and put the smackdown on El Cucuy in the first round of their fight. So I want to know also, has his brain recovered? Has he had enough time off? And where is his confidence level coming into this fight? Both guys have questionable mindsets, in my opinion, coming into this bout. And whichever guy has recovered from their respective fight the best will end this night with a victory. Let's move into the stylistic matchup of this contest. Ferguson can be described as unpredictable, opportunistic, diverse, awkward, smooth, and overall really, really exciting. This man shows off a diverse skill set every time he steps into the octagon, and he will never disappoint in terms of how exciting his bouts are. When he fought Edson Barboza, who is an extremely high-level striker, he had some decent success against that man in the striking department. He did finish that fight with a Darce choke, like he does frequently, which is nuts, but prior to that, he was having decent success against Junior Barboza in the stand-up. A lot of people are saying that El Cucuy was losing that fight right up until the time that he sunk in that Darce choke, but you know what? It's questionable. I think that Barboza did win the first round, but in no way at all did Barboza just dominate that thing. I think before the submission was sunk in, the significant strikes landed was like 44 Barboza, 32 for Ferguson. Now, that's not that big of a gap, and especially when we're talking about Barboza, who is a fantastic striker, as I mentioned before. When it goes to the ground, even if Ferguson is on his back, he is dangerous as all get out. With strikes and with submission attempts, he will throw hammer fists and elbows to the dome piece from his back. Also, he's looking for submissions nonstop. This guy is a good wrestler, even though he averages less than 1 takedown per fight, as I mentioned. He's pretty good with his wrestling, and where he is really unpredictable is when will this guy throw out an Imanari roll, because you know he's going to do it. It's when he dives for the leg and rolls on the ground, going for this weird takedown, looking for a knee bar attempt, and that's just one of his ways to get fights to the ground. He also has some more traditional ways. He's unpredictable in when is he going to throw a spinning attack? What stance is he going to be fighting out of? I mentioned that earlier. Sometimes he is straight on. Sometimes he's at a southpaw stance. Sometimes he's in an orthodox stance. This guy, you just never know what he's going to throw out next. And obviously it's been working for him because he's on an 8-fight winning streak. Moving over to Rafael dos Anjos. In comparison to Ferguson, he's more of a guy that's just a hard worker. He's going to pick up his lunch pail. He's going to take it to work, and you know what you're going to expect from this guy. He has some high-level Muay Thai striking accompanied with boxing. Basically, he uses his hands with hooks, kind of like Eddie Alvarez. He throws mostly hooks, but then he has a really dynamic kicking game, and he too has fantastic wrestling skills. He's way less unpredictable than Ferguson, but he has the exact skills that I think it would take to beat a guy like Ferguson, which is fantastic takedown defense, solid submission defense, because he has never actually been submitted. He has 1 submission loss, and it was against the Carpenter Clay Guida. But what it really was Clay broke his jaw in the first round with a couple of punches, and then in the 3rd round, Clay was kind of looking for an arm triangle choke on the ground against the cage, and he was pushing his shoulder into RDA's broken jaw, and RDA just could not handle it anymore, and he tapped out. So it could have been a TKO from injury, but because he tapped out, technically it was a submission. But let's just not count that at all as a submission defeat. And then we're looking at a guy who's never been submitted in RDA against a guy who loves submissions in Ferguson, and Ferguson has never lost by KO or TKO. RDA, his most likely path to victory in this bout would be via KO or TKO. So one of those guys, their O in that department, has got to go. And we need to talk about that this fight is at elevation, so will it go to the judges? I don't know. If it goes past the 15-minute mark, I know both these guys are high-level competitors. Will these guys be able to sustain their cardio and their output rate, where both of them throw out a lot of strikes and are really aggressive? Both guys come forward most of the time, so which guy's going to give ground, which guy's going to take ground? I think that RDA will go ahead and continue his forward pressure like he normally does. He'll be the guy pushing El Cucuy back, and that could put him in a lot of danger, just like it did against Eddie Alvarez. I just think that it's too soon for RDA to be coming back after that TKO loss to Eddie Alvarez. 4 months is not enough time away from the octagon after sustaining that much damage at the end of that fight. I think that El Cucuy is going to get a submission victory, but with the caveat that it's going to be stemming from first rocking the former champion. I think he's going to do that with a spinning technique when RDA is pressuring too much, spinning elbow to the temple, finishing with a Darce choke. And if he does finish with a Darce choke, that would sure be something, because it would be his 3rd victory in that manner in a row. If you disagree with me, I in no way fault you, because RDA does have the specific style and tactics to deal with the awkwardness that is El Cucuy. Tell me who you're picking and why in the comment section down below. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you on the next video. Namaste.